And now it is my pleasure to welcome here to the stage Tima Bansal, Vice Chair of Prime Board and incoming Chair, of course, of the Prime Board for the next 3 years. Warm welcome, Tima. Ilian, Mihov, current Chair of the Prime Board and Dean at INSEAD. Warm welcome to you. And Andrew Karolyi, Dean, Cornell, SC, Johnson College of Business, the incoming Vice Chair of Prime Board. So happy to have you here on the stage, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay. Do I have a clicker? It's coming. Well, first of all, I just want to thank Dean Aksoy for having us here. It's a wonderful venue, and I think that everybody here in this room feels so happy that we can get together in such a beautiful place. Thank you so much. I know that looking at the applause that you gave to Mette when she came on stage, I know that all of you feel very sad that she's leaving. I can guarantee you that in a lab somebody is working now to clone her, so that 1st of September we have her replacement, but we definitely, all of us will miss her a lot. So thank you, Mette. Thank you for what you have done. So I'm not sure how many of you know me. I'm currently the outgoing chair of Prime, and also I'm the outgoing dean of INSEAD. So in a few months, I'll be free from a lot of responsibilities and enjoying academic life. What I want to do today is to talk a little bit about the work that the board has done in the last 3 years, and to chart the way forward. So we joined with Mette together in 2020. We were asked by the CEO of UNGC at the time, Lisa Kingo, to form the board and also to form the secretariat at the time. To be honest, when we started, it was almost completely new. Even though Prime existed for 13 years, there was a decision to change the governance structure. So from having a steering committee and an advisory committee, we decided that there should be a board, advisory board, that will be working closely with the secretariat in order to make all of the objectives and the goals of Prime happen. A lot of work had been done during these 3 years. I'm not sure how much of this you can see. It's actually one thing that is missing from this timeline here is COVID. So, we should put there a red explosion that all of a sudden all our plans were derailed by this. But we managed to recover very quickly, and we actually based a lot of the work on a document that Mette wrote in 2019, which was the strategic review of Prime. Based on this document, which is actually the basis also for the future strategy of Prime, we identified 3 pillars. That is the governance, identity, who are we, what is Prime, and the growth. And I must say that looking back in the last 3 years, we've done a lot on governance. We have done a lot on clearing the way that we interact with each other, with the community, the committees that we set up, and so on. We are working on identity. So we have the SIP report and a lot of other initiatives are trying to answer the question, who are we? What are we doing here? So that is still work in progress, but I think that we've made huge progress thanks to a lot of the members of the board. And on the growth, we've done some work, but I would say that to me, from where I see what I have seen, today Prime is at an inflection point. The moment we set up all the SIP reporting, the PCP, we managed to connect the community, we managed to organize more of these events, I think that the growth of Prime will accelerate exponentially. And the reason that this is important is because of the first words of Jane Goodall and all the others who are sharing that we need to do something. And my fear is that today we do something at INSEAD, People do something at Wharton, others do some here at Fordham University, but we do not communicate very well. And sometimes we move slowly because we duplicate what we have been doing. So PRIME is a unique and wonderful platform to make this happen. In the past 3 years, I had the privilege to lead this board. As you can see, we have here 22 members of the board. We're trying to be around 21. And this board is not a typical governance board, just meeting with the CEO, the head, and telling her to work harder because she's making us work harder. But it amplifies, then we tell her, you must work harder as well. So we all work very hard. But this board is a working board. The members of the board have been on tons of committees, have been producing reports, have been working weekends in order to get into where we are today. And I know that many of you, part of this community, have participated in this. So I'm very proud and happy that we managed to build this board and start PRIME on this new trajectory. And here are the 3 pillars that I already mentioned. It is very important to set the governance right, because if we don't have good processes, if we don't have good procedures on how we do things, inevitably things derail. The first things that we did is actually let's write the terms of reference for this board. And we did this. We have a wonderful nominations and governance committee led by Lisa Frolich. And she has been doing a wonderful job with the members of the committee. Today we have done a lot of this work. I think that there is a little bit more to be done, but again, we have an incoming chair who will take care of all this. So on the identity part, I do believe that this is probably the crucial thing for all of us to understand what exactly we want to achieve. To say, this is the SIP report, this is how we want to communicate, this is what we want to share with the rest of the community so that we can learn from each other. And more of these events will generate, obviously, more exchange of information, of knowledge, and therefore will accelerate the change that all of us want to see. On the growth side, the first thing that we needed to do was to fix a little bit the financials of the organization. Because in the past, the organization was suffering from time to time. Whenever there is a shock, all of a sudden there is not enough budget to pay salaries. So thanks to Andrew Wilson, who is the head of the Finance Committee, Finance and Risk Committee, now we have a very clear system. The organization finances are very, very stable. On the top of this, Mete has worked very hard in order to secure 2 big grants, one from the LEGO Foundation and the other one's from the Economics of Mutuality. And these grants actually allow us to deliver what our objectives are. So I want also to say that to me, that's why I think that we are at an inflection point. Because out there, there's so many foundations, so many philanthropic organizations, so many individuals who want to see impact. And if we can be the conduit for their desire to have this impact and we can deliver this, I think that this 7 million can quickly become 70 or even 700. Because people want to see change. So I think that we are getting there. The 17 PRIME chapters have obviously worked also very hard in the last few years and so on. So what I want to say at the end is I want to thank, part of our governance was that 1/3 of the board will be renewed every year so that we have continuity, but we have also new blood coming in. So I want to say my special thanks as chair of the board to the outgoing members. I don't want to thank myself, but I want to thank Enase, Asilbek, Haifeng, Sophie, Norman, Belinda, and Ranjan for their work in the past 3 years. And the ones who are here, so I can see here, Haifeng, please come on stage. Asilbek, come. Asilbek. And I think that Ranjan was here yesterday, but I don't see him here today. We have a special plaque for you. So here is the wonderful Sophie. Okay. Oh, this is heavy. I hope you've packed lightly. This is for Ranjan. I think.
Thank
Here
you.
you are. Thank you very much. Asselbeck, thank you very much. Thank you. Come here, let's take a picture so that future board members can replicate what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, now we have also another thing happening today. As you know, we are transitioning power. It was difficult for me to give up power, but you know, at the end of the day, when you see a better person who can do a better job in this role, I'm very happy that the CEO of UNGC, Sandro Ojiambo, decided to appoint Tima as the next chair of PRIME. She was the vice chair, so as of 1st of July, she will be the chair of PRIME. And I know that a lot of the tasks that we could not finish in the last 3 years will be completed. Please join me in thanking her, welcoming her. And some of you may wonder, but why is Andrew sitting here? So because now there is a vacancy. So Tima is, as a new chair, she's vacating the position of vice chair. So Sandra has also approved Andrew Karolyi from Cornell University to be our next vice chair. So please join me also in thanking him. And I think that's all from my side.
To me next? Okay, wonderful.
A special thanks to
No,
myself.
that's you.
So it is you.
Change the order, yeah.
Okay.
So I get to thank Ilian, and that is a very difficult job to do. You have to recognize that when he, 3 years ago, that the chair of Global Compact met him and was completely wowed. And she had said, if I'm going to transform Prime, I'm going to do it with Ilian. And she appointed Meta at the same time. You can imagine how difficult my job will be now without both Ilian and Meta to help guide the ship. So it is really bittersweet. Bitter because he's leaving, Ilian, sweet because we get to celebrate all the good work he did. And what you saw in those 3 years of accomplishment is truly, truly outstanding. And I don't know of any organization, especially a UN initiative, that can do so much in so little time. And so we had gone dormant for a period of time. And over that period of time, Ilian built up a 22-member board that has truly been outstanding in the work that it's been doing. And it's all because of his leadership. I want to say that Ilian is, as you probably know, is a Princeton PhD in economics, and is now, currently, at this moment, the Dean of INSEAD, and he will step down, as you said, from both positions relatively soon, and off to sabbatical for not 1 year, but 2 years, because he has truly earned it. He has come to board meetings no matter how tired he is, no matter how much he's traveled, no matter how aggravated he might have been because of what's going on in his life at home. He's always come to the board meeting calm, collected, and inspiring. He has been truly wise in his guidance to us, has been very clear in his advice, and there is no person, I think, that could have guided us on this trajectory better than Ilian. And so with that, Ilian, it is really bitter that we're saying goodbye. But very sweet to be able to celebrate. I'm going to give you a hug.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you have my flag
Yes.
now? Around the world with this. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
pictures.
Okay, here's it. Thank you.
Okay, now they changed the order, so we don't know what's next. Ah, that would be you.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Yes. Well, good morning. My name is Andrew Karolyi. I'm the dean at Cornell's S.C. Johnson College of Business, and I'm a very proud member of the Prime Board. And I just wanted to let you know that. So good morning and thank you very much. So my job this morning is to talk about the new incoming board members. Let's see, does this move? This is the current composition of the board geographically. I don't know how much you can see. Those are pictures of individuals and they are scattered across the continents. And you can see that they represent each of the continents of the globe. And you can see the representation by region in terms of the counts in the bottom right side, and also gender representation on the left side. We owe a great deal of thanks to Elizabeth Froelich, who is the chair of the Nominations and Governance. Is Elizabeth, is she here this morning? Oh, you're in the back. Thank you so much for leading our Nomination and Governance Committee. It's inspiring work, and you can see the other members of the committee that work so hard to identify these new candidates. Here is the work that they do. They basically built a very rigorous and disciplined process by which to identify new incoming candidates. And there are a number of skill areas and attributes, each of which are described here, that are the criteria by which candidates among those that are nominated and brought forward to the committee are judged. Leadership, diligence, discretion, expertise, understanding and expertise in sustainable development, passion, collegiality, stewardship, and innovative thinking. And you can see that these are the criteria and skill areas and attributes they match up against the nominations that come forward. This year there were 7 vacancies according to different categories that the board had identified as priorities. And you can see the list there. Youth Student Leader Representative, 1 vacancy. Higher executive positions, 2 vacancies. Working Group Chair, 1 vacancy. Chapter Chair, Champion Representative, and General Advisory, 1 vacancy each. And on the right side, you can see all the nominations that came forward from the community for each of these. And there were 63 nominations that came forward for the 7. Now you can appreciate the amount of work Professor Froelich and her colleagues were very actively involved with in terms of identifying those that would come forward. The process actually is multiple months in evaluation, from board review through call for nominations, through closing the call, shortlisting, a prime board meeting to review the finalists, and then approval and bringing forward the announcement, which is this morning. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we are very, very proud and pleased, and I say this with a big smile, as does Tima, to welcome our newest members of the board. Lisa Deborah Sargent is here. She is the Dean of the University of Sydney Business School. Morris Mihov, who is the Dean of Gibbs, the Gordon Institute of Business Science in South Africa. And Veneta Andanova, I'm sure hoping I see Veneta somewhere in the audience today, from Universidad de los Andes School of Management in Colombia. Youth Student Leader is Robin Schreier-Furman, President and CEO of Enactus. Chapter Chair is Priya Sharma. She is the Chair of the Prime Chapter ASEAN Plus, Director of Prime, and from the School of Business, Monash University, Malaysia. And then the Working Group Chair is Alex Hope, Co-Chair of the Prime Working Group on Climate and Sustainability. Deputy Faculty, Pro Vice Chancellor, and Associate Professor at Newcastle Business School. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask those who are here to please, if you don't mind, stand among that group. I see Lisa, and I'm hoping there's Robin. And do we have the others here? Well, no, you're going to have to represent. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in welcoming our newest members of the Prime Board. Thank you. And these are the new members. And here is our new geographic composition. UN Prime people like to look at maps. And there is our map. So thank you very much, everyone. And I'm going to, thank you. And I'm going to hand it back to Tima.
Thanks, Andrew. I know that we are almost at time, so I'm going to move relatively quickly through the rest of it, but there is some really important business to discuss. One is I want to tell you about what we're planning on doing. We are sticking to the strategic plan of having governance, identity, and growth being central. We're just going to do this in buckets. But one important thing that we're doing as INSEAD is to really simplify the governance of we also want to, and this is going to be critical in the few minutes I have up here, is to refresh the principles. And this was decided in the 2019 strategic plan, and as we move forward, it becomes important. We also are wanting to build better relationships across the organization. And so across within Prime, but then also among organizations. So if this forum is about connections, today is really about reinforcing those connections and pushing them forward, certainly in the 3 years that I'm chair. The other part of this is that we want to, and this is really critical, is to build the platform for the SIP reports. It's an electronic platform, we call it PCP, and that will allow us to share and learn with each other, from each other. And I think that's going to be critical if we're all going to elevate the boats that we're all floating on right now. We want to really strengthen the pedagogical support that we have. And so in the global forum going forward, we will share best practices, best teaching practices, so we can learn from each other and from the I-5 initiative that's so important to what we're doing. And finally, growth. We're going to grow the number of schools that are involved, focusing primarily or as well on China and Africa. We want to fundraise because our growth is related to fundraising, and then also be able to send some of that money to our chapters as well. So we all become stronger in that process. That's where we're going. And I promise you in 3 years we will move forward along that path. But this is the real thing that a lot of us are excited about. So I had the honor of chairing the task force that was refreshing the principles. I want to tell you a little bit about this in terms of background. It was a light refresh. We didn't want to open up everything. We think our principles are solid. But they were based on they were based on 2007. So that was when they were first written. There are 6 principles. But in the 2015 and 2019 strategic reviews, we knew that we had to revisit them. The SIP review committee that's been in progress for 2 years also knew that if we were to align the SIP reporting process with our principles, the principles needed reworking. And so we started to move in that process and a lot of external consultations. This is our committee, awesome committee. So I chaired it. I know that Jim Walsh was, I see him. Jim Walsh is over there. He has been incredible. Christian, are you here yet? Okay. Oh, there she is. I haven't seen her in the flesh, and so this is wonderful. She's from Mexico and just showed up. And then Morris and Isaac are not here as far as I know. So wonderful committee. We worked hard. We started, like I say, in 2015. We will end in October 2022. Our hard work started in January 23, so January of this year, and we have met so often. We are honestly close friends now. So we had numerous consultations in the process. We had 5 focus groups, and that involved over 40 people from 23 countries. Very selective and choosing people with incredible diversity that could give us input. We then invited the whole community to give us input through a survey. 89 people responded to us, gave us detailed feedback, 198 pages of feedback that we went through, and they represented 38 countries. And so we had input from all our prime constituencies, and we also met each of our individual founding partners as well in a focus group. So that was really critical for what we did. What we will do going forward is that we will ask your input one more time in a survey. And what we're looking for is, did we meet our objectives, which I'll tell you about in a minute, and are there any red flags? We really want to hear from you because we have to cross cultures, we we have to cross communities, and we want to ensure that we have the right words. We will also get feedback from the chapters specifically, and then the board has to ratify it. And we will meet again as a task force. So I want to tell you about what our objectives or fundamentals were. 1, it has to align with the SIP report. 2, we wanted to add a principle about our operations. It's one thing to tell other people to do good work. We, in our higher institutions, have to start doing good work as well. So we need a principle in operations. We need to move from the we will language, as into the future, to we do. So we wanted to motivate actions, and we wanted to streamline and modernize some of the language that was being used. And so it was language that was of 2007. The world has changed so much, not always for the better, that we needed more inspiration in what we wrote. So, drum roll. This is it. I am so excited to represent our task force. I'm going to read this to you, and I know that it's going to take a few minutes, but this is critical to who we are as a community, and we have wordsmithed every one of these words, and so to some extent, I just want to celebrate our work, okay? So, as institutions of higher education, we prepare people to serve society and safeguard our planet with their work in and for organizations. Grounded in the principles of sustainable development, we believe that all people have the right to live with dignity and to meet their needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet theirs. Responsible management education, therefore, seeks to develop people who will help their organizations create inclusive prosperity while promoting freedom, justice, and peace within regenerative and resilient natural ecosystems. To be responsible is to be attentive to impact and to time. Responsible decision makers look forward as they live in the moment. Looking ahead, they are responsible not just to current generations, not just to current and future generations, but to all life on the planet. Looking back, they are accountable for their actions, those taken and those avoided. Now, I want to reinforce the responsibility and accountability language. Looking forward, responsibility. Looking backwards, accountability, because that will play out in the principles. And so with enthusiasm, this is your inspiration, we join a worldwide community of like-minded educational institutions to promote our aspirations, document our initiatives, share our lessons learned, and help each other address our challenges. By embracing these 7 principles, we hope to inspire and enable a better world through responsible management practices. Here are our principles. Motivating, action-oriented. Principle 1, we believe that responsible management education can create inclusive prosperity in a world of thriving ecosystems. Our values, we place organizational responsibility and accountability to society and the planet at the core of what we do. Teach, we transform our learning environments by integrating responsible management concepts and practices into our curriculum and pedagogy. Research, we study employees, managers, organizations, institutions, and the state of the world to inspire responsible management education and practice. Partner, we engage people from business, government, and civil society and academia to advance responsible and accountable management education and practice. We practice in that we adopt responsible and accountable management practices in our operations, learn, we share our successes and failures to enable collective learning and live our common values and purpose. And I just want to say one more thing before I leave the stage. We were very deliberate in how we organize the principles. There's 3 overarching principles about how we in higher education institutions operate, by our values, our practice, and how we share. For a purpose, on the far right, of inclusive prosperity and thriving ecosystems. We do that through responsible organizations, responsible and accountable organizations, and through the work of partnering, teaching, and research. Every word has been carefully constructed, and yet we know that there's so many people that are part of our community, And each person has to have a voice. If we have not delivered, we need to hear from you. So please, please, please respond to the survey if you have any comments, because we want this to be our principles. Thank you.